Hello everyone, I'm SoloKageFX, the writer of Sonic Plush Origins, and I have with me
Super Hedgehog Productions.
and, and we're going to be talking about going over the lore for the fans who have been watching for 2 years, just kind of going over the story, where it's headed, and more like the last chapter or the last part of it. But we've come a long way, but it's time to finally go in and tell everyone from the jump what's going on, in case there's anyone who's confused, because there's always a little Timmy that doesn't know what's going on.
We should shout out the kid who doesn't know what's going on.
No, we're not gonna do that, but let's get into it. So, and then of course, Super Hedgehog Rush, you can jump in and you can commentate, if you want to say it, your piece or something like that. But going into season 1, we first started, didn't even know what we were doing, right? And we just kind of went with it, SHP.
The first two episodes of season 1, I begged this dude to edit for me because I didn't know how to edit at all. I had an old YouTube channel, but it was super bad. So I begged him to edit, and I thought this was like so good back then. But now looking back at it, I mean, it's just improvement over time. That's all it really is. I mean, it looks bad now, but it was still good back in the day.
And so we finally started developing a story after the 3rd episode, and from the beginning in season 1, it starts off with Sonic fighting Shadow, Metal Sonic getting involved, Eggman trying to capture Sonic, basic back and forth. And then later on we see, come around more or less episode 2, a portal opens and Metal Overlord arrives and causes a bit of havoc, starts fighting some people, right? But nobody knows that he's officially here yet. And so we transition to like the next episode, right? In episode 3, Silver arrives, right? And he's from the future. He was getting attacked. He was getting attacked by Metal Overlord, and then we realized that Metal Overlord was a Metal Sonic from Silver's timeline, which is completely different from the one that we know, which is what we'll call the main timeline. So in Silver's time, we're going to go over Silver's past for a quick bit so that everyone can kind of understand. In Silver's past, Silver comes to warn Sonic and Shadow and, the gang, that Metal Sonic will come in contact with the Master Emerald, but it's going to turn him into a complete villain. It's going to brainwash him. It's going to make him not himself, right? He's gonna turn into Metal Overlord. He's gonna betray Eggman, and he's gonna
the goat, by the way, the goat.
And he's going to destroy, right? He's going to destroy the world. So in Silver's timeline, the world is destroyed. Very similar. We got a lot of the ideas from Dragon Ball Z. Growing up as a kid, I really loved it. So we got a lot of it from somewhat like Trunks' timeline and how things went with the androids. Going into it, so Silver ends up figuring out, he eventually adapts his powers of time travel, and it wasn't until years later where Shadow is his mentor and trains him, and everyone in his time is completely destroyed by the reign of Metal Overlord. And so he decides to go to the past. So he decides to go to the past and help / fix what has been done and stop him from ever, becoming an issue. And so we go to the past, and Sonic and Shadow, they fight Metal Sonic, and they have a good run. They have a good fight with him. They beat him. It's over. Eggman doesn't think that, Metal Sonic was ever going to, until Metal Overlord arrives and actually threatened Eggman, and then they realize, okay, this guy's an issue. So the Metal Overlord that's currently in their timeline, right, he's still planning to take the current existing Master Emerald to find Silver,
So,
you know, to kill him.
which I've never actually asked you this. I think. Why was he going after a second one if you already have one? I don't think I've ever.
For more power. For more power. Naturally speaking, just because he wanted more power. His true intention was following Silver, because whatever Silver was planning, he was going to put an end to him. Metal Overlord
Also,
wanted to put an end to everyone in Silver's timeline, and Silver was the last survivor of his friends.
Fit by imagine Silver will be the villain of Sonic 4 or Sonic Movie 4. I mean that would be cool, but I don't see Silver in like a villain role.
No.
I never see him in like a villain role. He's like always like an anti-hero. Or like anti-hero or just like a friend. But
Yeah.
Sonic Movie 4 definitely Mephiles is probably gonna be in there. Because if they just brought Mephiles back in Sonic and Shadow Generations, I'm pretty sure since he's actually back in the media they're gonna start using him again. So Mephiles is also like probably my favorite villain. Because like the character of Mephiles is very interesting. And they basically had to do a universal reset to win against him in Sonic 06. So it just proved that the super forms are fucking stupid against it. So
And that actually, that's fine, that's fine. And that actually goes into what we're talking about on some characters. And so then, you know, then it finally comes down to the, you know, the season finale, the final fight, and, you know, we have Sonic and them all together. You know, he shows up, he has the last Chaos Emerald, and Metal Overlord, you know, fights with Sonic, beats the hell out of him, right? And they're like, hey, we gotta stop him. So then all together, they're all there, the 7 Chaos Emeralds are gathered, Sonic and Shadow both team up against Metal Overlord and fight him, and they're overwhelming him. They overwhelm him to the point to where he takes in the 2nd Chaos Emerald, you know. But while doing so, there was something very ominous going on in Metal Overlord, which we'll end up talking about a little further into the lore. But there was a certain person who began with the, you know, letter M, who wasn't metal, who was kind of behind the scenes. And so they win, you know, they win the day. Silver thanks them, they go back to their timeline. Moving into season 2.
So I'm gonna actually say something. So, in my opinion, I don't know if this is like according to him, but the whole reason why Infinite started like trying to protect, or like was a villain, I think, is because Metal Overlord had showed up in season 1. Because
that's exactly what I was gonna get into.
Yeah, because Metal Overlord showing up kind of messed up the whole like timeline stuff. Because without Silver showing up, they weren't supposed to win. They weren't supposed to win. They were supposed to die against the first Metal Sonic that tried getting the Master.
Very
Silver
true.
Being there, basically inverted, like not inverted, but like stopped the crisis of happening.
He created a whole new paradox. He created a whole new paradox in the time, or in the story. And so, going into season 2, Eggman, you know, is crying, you know, about Metal Sonic, and Mephiles, or not Mephiles, Infinite shows up.
Crypto. What's up, Crypto?
And immediately
Crypto, we're just
fixes him.
So, Crypto, we're explaining the lore of Plush versions right now.
Yeah, Jeremy, that's the title.
We're explaining. I'm just saying, because you know little Timmies don't understand. They say lore dumb. No. Like I say lore dumb, but that doesn't mean like we're explaining the entire thing. You know, Timmies don't understand stuff.
Okay.
But Crypto, we're basically explaining everything up to the final thing, the movie. Which, yeah, the movie. So that's the last thing in Plush Origins. So I explained the whole timeline before that. So scrap in.
So season 2,
I'm saying.
Infinite season, you know, the Phantom, the Guardian of the Phantom Ruby, as we called him, and Infinite in this one is more of an anti-hero. His character plays more of a villain in this season, though, because he is trying to more or less get rid of Sonic. He's more or less trying to get rid of Sonic, and he's trying to become a warrior strong enough, because the entire plot of season 2 was Infinite feeling a looming threat coming, and he needed Eggman's power and Eggman's technology to make him strong enough to face that threat. But while doing it, he was doing it in a very unhero-like way.
Yeah. And also, I think it was episode 4 of season 2, he started having visions, like premonitions of
drop it. Name drop it. Name drop it.
So he was having premonitions of Mephiles coming back, and he was starting to tweak out. He was like, his head was starting hurting. Eggman was like, "Are you good?" And he was like, "He's coming back." And Eggman was like, "Who?" And then it cuts out from it. So basically, he's explaining that Mephiles is coming back. So basically, he doesn't know what his motives are, but we knew what the motives were. But we're just not gonna say it until season 3 actually comes around. I'll throw it back to Solo.
So back going into more or less what happens in season 2, you know, Sonic faces a bit of a crisis. You know, he ends up, you know, fighting Shadow because Shadow's on Team Eggman, and there is a lot of beef and controversy. And Tails, introduced to the story because he wasn't in season 1, you know, is more at Sonic's side, and they start developing a closer friendship. But eventually, Eggman powers up and helps Infinite achieve what form we call, or ability we call, World Infinite, where it enhancified the ability of the Phantom Ruby's power so that the entire world was at his disposal, and that he was able to control and manipulate anything on the planet. And not only was his power boosted, but his abilities as well. And so eventually Sonic and Infinite end up having a go around, and Infinite's wiping the floor with him. Knuckles shows up too with the not with the Master Emerald, but with the Chaos Emeralds, and he has a go at Infinite. But Sonic, his spirit is destroyed. You know, his spirit is destroyed. Infinite hits him at his weakest, you know, making him, you know, feel sorry and feel depressed. And then Tails has to remind him.
This is a reoccurring thing with Sonic.
Yeah, and then Tails has to remind him, you know, kind of who he is. You know what I'm saying? And telling him to win. You know, after Tails jumped in front of him, you know, to save him. And so then Sonic finally realizes, and he starts powering up. And we have the most beautiful moment in what I believe to be Sonic Plush Origins, when Sonic finally realizes, all right, I gotta take this guy down, right? So him and Infinite have one of the toughest fights in Sonic Plush Origins, where it's going across space, right? And it all ends in a beam struggle, and what I would believe was one of the coolest beam struggles. But then it's a tie. We end with a tiebreaker. Sonic persuades Infinite to, you know, kind of come to the light and realize that there's better ways of doing things, and that, you know, he is who he is. And him and Infinite bury the hatchet. They bury the hatchet, but before he leaves, Infinite warns Sonic that he better train because an imminent threat is coming that he must be prepared for. So that concludes season 2, and now we go into the final season of chapter 1, season 3, which by far was the greatest season in chapter 1. And so we begin with Metal Overlord, because we kind of never explained what happened to him after that. He was still alive, you know, still in this timeline, but he feels sick, and that's why he wasn't in season 2. For the most part, his body has been falling apart on him, and he feels like there's something inside of him, that's more or less, you know, draining his energy. And so finally we get the reveal that Mephiles was inside Metal Overlord the entire time, and that in season 1, when he took in that second Master Emerald, Mephiles was sealed in the Master Emerald, and that allowed him passageway to not only break free, but to be inside of Metal Overlord in order to escape his prison. So now Mephiles has been freed.
Something I've concluded with the two Master Emeralds, one of them kickstarted the other one for Mephiles to get out of the Master Emerald. The other one, in my opinion, kickstarted that one.
That is somewhat true. You know, that is somewhat true. And so, going into it, and then we come to realize that the reason why Metal Sonic went bad, and, you know, not only, of course, he was going to use the power to fight, you know, Sonic, you know, but at the same time decided to take the Master Emerald for himself, was because Mephiles was speaking to him, telling him how powerful he could be, tricking him so that he could escape his prison inside what now we're going to say is the world between chaos beings called the Chaos Realm, which is basically our version of heaven, kind of like heaven, right? It's kind of an afterlife for chaos beings, known as, like, you know, Shadow, Sonic, Knuckles, people that can use chaos abilities. And so, or, you know, anything that has to do with, you know, the Master Emerald, the Chaos Emeralds. And so, going more further into it, so Mephiles eventually makes his debut, right? And I believe around episode 1, he takes down Shadow. Shadow was his first person. He was, yeah.
And the thing is, at that point, Mephiles didn't have all of his power. He was slowly building up during, like, the season. So taking out Shadow right off the rip, that's some crazy feat, because Shadow is not one to be messed with.
That's true. Very true. So he takes out Shadow, and he, in a way, absorbs him, and not fully by absorbing him, right? But he sends him into the Chaos Realm, but more like a closer domain of his to where he can siphon his energy, right? And so
episode 2, though.
Episode 2, right? Episode 2, Metal Sonic is kind of, you know, malfunctioning, right? He's like sensing something, and he figures out, you know, that, you know, Metal Overlord is still out there somewhere. So him and Eggman go to investigate, right? And they find him, you know, buried, you know, just left there, you know, left there for dead. And so
also got a concussion from the fall.
That is true. That is true. He tripped on him when he didn't see him. One of the funniest moments when Sonic Plus Origins used to have humor. But yeah, it used to. And so Eggman realizes, you know, that, you know, Metal Overlord can still be salvageable. You know, he's not some piece of wreck, right? And they actually build a bond. But then Mephiles intercepts them, coming back for Eggman, right? And his knowledge of, you know, the Chaos Emeralds. And so a long time ago, when Metal Sonic and Metal Overlord were built, Eggman built in a battery, more or less overdrive power mode. Alright? And this power...
We're also talking about the Eggman from the future, too. They're both correlated at this point.
Of course, yeah. The one from the future's dead, but yeah. Well, because that Metal Sonic or that Metal Overlord killed him. And so Metal Overlord and Metal Sonic have this ability called, is it Infinite Metal?
Unlimited Metal.
Unlimited Metal. I forgot for a minute. Oh my god, I'm terrible.
Also, you forgot something in that episode.
What did I forget?
Boom the Hedgehog makes his debut.
Boom. Oh, I did. At the beginning of the episode, an ancestor of Sonic's, also known as like his great-great-grandfather, ends up showing up, or more like his grandfather, ends up showing up,
yeah.
Who is one of Sonic's older ancestors, who resides in the Chaos Realm, and actually harbors chaos inside of him. More or less of like a... more or less of kind of like a symbiote-like relationship. And so that person, his name is Boom the Hedgehog, and he was one of the original people that sealed Mephiles inside the Master Emerald and put him basically almost in prison to where he couldn't escape. And they talk, and he's basically saying there will always be someone stronger than you, better than you, to best you. And Mephiles is like, psh, peace out. And so going back to where we are now.
Did this audio cut out? Hello? Hello? Alright, give me a second, chat. Give me a second. Pull up, and Sonic gets one-shotted by Mephiles with a bad hit. As the last resort, he completely and totally fucking, sorry, excuse the language, just absolutely nukes the place. Nukes the place. And Mephiles basically shrugs his shoulder, coughing. And Eggman, as a last-ditch effort to have Sonic and Tails live, because that's their only chance they have right now. He has Metal Sonic, taking Sonic and Tails to safety. That's something to be honest, you probably wouldn't see. But it was that dire to the point that Eggman had to start working with Sonic. And he just tried killing him season before. So that happens. They bring him to Angel Island where Knuckles is at. And yeah,
I'll take over from here.
Yeah, I kind of forgot what happened.
Well, to the point of season 3, episode 3, we do start off with them all together. Metal Sonic and Metal Overlord leave, or I presume Metal Overlord was out for the count. Okay, yeah. Metal Sonic leaves to go search for Eggman, and Sonic and Tails are on their own, still hunting for the emeralds. You know, trying to beat Mephiles to it. We're having more or less a Chaos Emerald hunt, kind of similar to last season. And Mephiles, oh yeah, and then Mephiles is right on their, you know what, right on their rear, and coming back from the future is none other than Silver the Hedgehog himself. And I think by this time I voiced Silver. I think, pretty sure. But
I'll still voice Silver at this time.
Oh, okay, never mind. But Silver comes back. Silver comes back to the past and immediately comes in to save Sonic and Tails. And while doing that, sacrifices himself, but they end up getting another Chaos Emerald more than Mephiles. And so, eventually, right, they are running low on people. They are running low on people to help them. And Metal Overlord decides that the only way for this to not happen is... What did I miss?
You missed one, so...
We gotta go through the important things.
Listen, I'm telling you. I'm saying Sonic tells Tails to stay back because at this point, Tails, I think, in my opinion, was a liability. I'm gonna let you continue here.
No, I'll let you explain Metal Madness. I know it's your favorite.
So, Metal Overlord is basically like, yo, we need to destroy the Chaos Emeralds because if we can destroy it, there's no way of Mephiles getting his full power. And Sonic is like, what is the point of doing that? Because, I kind of forgot. Let's take it from here. Oh, I'll take it from here? I said take it from here. Technical difficulties. Hello? Hello, Goofy. I'm gonna just try to remember. So, yeah. I forgot. Low-key, I might be a little dumb. So, let me look back real quick. I think... Okay, I'm gonna just say, Sonic was saying that's a dumb idea because Sonic needs the Chaos Emeralds to go super to actually take on Mephiles or whatever. And then, like, basically destroying the Chaos Emeralds, there's no way to really seal Mephiles because they need the Chaos Emeralds to practically seal him into the Master Emerald. So, they had a dispute. Sonic and Metal Overlord had a 5-star match, which Sonic lucked out. Or not lucked out. He actually tapped into one of his abilities that he would have actually fully learned in Chapter 2, which is Chaos Max. And Chaos Max is something that, or we could say Speed Breaker, one of the two. We could just say Speed Breaker. So Speed Breaker basically, it's like Kaioken. So it multiplies your stats. And he tapped into it, we could say he did like ×2, and absolutely started speed blitzing Metal Overlord and knocked him out. Metal Overlord was cool. So Sonic had dipped out, and then during the Chaos Realm, he somehow enters the Chaos Realm, or no, actually no, Chaos Link. So he gets Chaos linked with his grandfather, and his grandfather's telling him that like to go train with him, so he can unlock the ancient like some form. And Sonic's like he doesn't have enough time for this because Mephiles is on the loose, and Sonic just leaves, like basically practically ignoring what his grandfather said. So that happens. Episode 5, he gets to Angel Island, and he's about to leave, but then a Phantom Ruby portal opens, and it's Infinite. And Infinite is like saying, like,
Do you not remember?
I forgot. Hey, nah, I need your help with this. I haven't watched season 3 in a minute.
Basically, what happens in season, what happens in episode 5, Infinite and Sonic are on a emerald hunt. Infinite comes back to help Sonic with fighting Mephiles, and he explains that he's done quite a bit of training, and he's a lot stronger from the last time they first met. And so, him and Sonic both get attacked by Mephiles, and they lose, but Infinite's smart and clever, and that's the one good thing about his character, is that he has a lot of skill behind him, and he's not just more of a powerhouse of a character. And he uses his ability, Phantom Freeze, to stop Mephiles in his place. Him and Sonic make a run for it, getting the emerald. Mephiles isn't sweating that much because he still has one thing against them. And so they basically say, once they regroup, now all they need to do is face down Mephiles, and that begins the start of the season 3 finale. Possibly one of the heaviest hitting lore seasons that I remember. And so going in, right, we start off with the entire gang together. We have Infinite, we have Tails, we have Sonic there. Knuckles and Infinite have a moment where they talk to each other, basically about how Sonic changed him. And Tails sees that someone's coming, and it was none other than Metal Overlord. So now everyone's here, and Metal Overlord has to say that Eggman is still alive, and the only person that has him, or the person who has him, is Mephiles. And so then they're like, shit, well, we gotta get Eggman back. And so Sonic bands everyone together, saying, we can do this, we're gonna steal the emeralds from him right back once we give them to him, for Eggman, because that was Mephiles' condition, the emeralds for Eggman. So they meet him, right, and they give him the power, right? And because Mephiles is a dark user, and dark users and light users are completely different. So a light user can only use the light part of chaos energy. A dark user can only use dark parts of chaos energy, which means even if Mephiles is using and fully harnessing all the power of, dark chaos energy, he can't fully manifest light energy, which means there's light energy still there. So Sonic takes the opportunity, jumps in right when the Chaos Emeralds are all still together, and powers up to his super form. Mephiles says, that's still not going to be enough to beat me. Infinite's right there too and says, well, we're both going to take you down. So they decide to take him back to Angel Island, and Mephiles like, well, thank you, you brought me right back to the Master Emerald. But they're like, we're not going to let you have it, and all we got to do is wait here for Knuckles to get back to seal you back inside. And so we have an epic fight between Super Sonic and Mephiles. That went pretty damn hard, I'm not going to lie. That fight was terrifying. That fight was absolutely terrifying to see. And Sonic fought with all his heart, but not even Super Sonic was strong enough to put down or even graze Mephiles at his strongest, or quote unquote strongest.
And after that, Infinite steps in. I mean, he actually puts up more of a fight than Super Sonic did. but he tries using he tries doing every strat possible. He tries cloning and stuff and using duplicates. And the thing is, Mephiles somehow is able to do that as well. And if we look back at Sonic 06, he clones himself like 100 times. So he only uses 2 clones and beats down Infinite, sending him towards Sonic. And Mephiles is about to kill him both. He's about to send a blast, huge ass blast, and Infinite jumps in the way of Sonic. Sonic was supposed to die though, but Infinite jumps in the way and sacrifices himself. And Sonic goes fully fucking berserk. He starts tapping into something that is very, it's very connected to his family and very connected to Mephiles.
He starts tapping into dark energy. He
starts tapping into the dark part of the Chaos Emerald, and that isn't supposed to happen if you're a light user. So he starts tapping into it, and Mephiles is he's not scared, but he's very intrigued by this because since he's a light user, he's like, oh yeah, he can't do that, but he did that. And he also tells Sonic, more dark energy he uses, the more powerful he gets. So he smacks Sonic towards Tails and them, and Mephiles kills Sonic with the chest beam and his super form. And
which we took inspiration from 06 when Mephiles shot him through the chest. We thought it would be ironic and iconic for him to quote unquote die that way.
And Sonic dies, and Mephiles is pulling up. He smacks Knuckles. He's about to run into Tip, and Eggman's like, "Hey, Metal Overlord, you gotta lock it down. You just beat his ass earlier. You can do it again." And then Metal Overlord goes unlimited metal, which he was like 50% as strong as Mephiles at that point. At his full power, I don't think he was as strong. Actually, no, he was stronger than Season 1. So he was fighting Mephiles. He was putting the hands up, but Mephiles, keeps outsmarting him. And the thing is, Metal Overlord isn't dumb. He has the IQ of Eggman. But Metal Overlord gets outsmarted by Mephiles and absolutely obliterated. So, and then Tails is like the last one standing.
And then I'll take it from here. I'll take into the Soul Realm. Yeah. I'll take into the Chaos Realm. So now Sonic's in the Chaos Realm where Chaos users die, and he meets his grandfather, Boom, the Hedgehog. And Boom basically explains what the Chaos Emerald is. It's basically, a placeholder for souls that, are for chaos beings for where they die. And so Sonic basically said, so I'm basically dead, right? But he basically said, wrong, kind of in a way you're still somewhat in a state of limbo, right? And he basically says, there's a way that I'm going to send you back. And I know exactly how to send you back. And so Boom is one of the only people, because he basically has a symbiotic relationship with Chaos, can send Sonic back into his body because his body wasn't fully destroyed. Once a body is destroyed, you can no longer go back to it, right? And so Sonic is resurrected after Boom teaches him how to become hypersonic. And by the way, we were the first.
This was the first.
This was the first hypersonic in any Plush series on YouTube. And so not only was it history, but it was a big moment because even fans didn't expect it in the premiere watching it. And so going into it, Sonic, arises, and Mephiles is like, how? He's completely, appalled by how Sonic could be alive, but Sonic gives him this speech, and then they get to the smackdown, but he beats him rather quick after sending him into space, and then he seals him and Knuckles seal him back into the Master Emerald, but it's not over. Mephiles is still alive in there.
Mephiles.
And so
Mephiles
Sonic,
at that point, he's just trolling.
And so Mephiles
laughing at them.
And so Sonic tells Knuckles he has to send him in there. Knuckles is like, are you crazy? And he's like, it's the only way to defeat him. All right, and so Sonic goes into the Chaos Realm. It's completely black, different from earlier. Mephiles' aura is completely surrounding the entire space domain, and him and Mephiles have an all-out fight that leads in a beam struggle. And you can't forget that Silver and Shadow were both there earlier, and they come to assist Sonic in their own hyper forms, taught by Boom how to achieve that form. And all three of them all together power through and obliterate Mephiles, finally ending the whole entire, saga of chapter 1 and putting an end to him once and for all. But I don't believe that's fully once and for all. And then they all return back. They have a moment for Infinite, a moment, to remember him as he gave his life for Sonic in order to win. Metal Overlord's a little bitter, knowing that Sonic's a lot stronger than him, and that bitterness will continue to kind of destroy, that more or less peace that they have. But that is the end of chapter 1. And thank you. No, we will have to get into that one a different day. All right.
Whoa, what do you mean a different day?
We'll have to get into that a different day. We'll have to get into that one a different day. Thank you all very much. Stay tuned. We'll be going over chapter 2 another time. Clearly before the movie. The last part of Sonic Plus Origins airs. But thank you all. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Anything you gotta say, SHP?
That was a whole lot of talk.
Like and subscribe, or like and subscribe or something.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So that was a lot. Hopefully y'all understand it more. We'll be, as I said, we'll explain the other part. Sometime later, a different week or day, whatever. But like and subscribe for sure. Also subscribe to him because I wouldn't have been here without him. So
Solo Kage FX on YouTube. Thank you very much for having me.
Alright, you're welcome. Yeah. So that's it. Everyone be safe. Real tough out here. So stay safe. Much love to all of y'all. So bye.